My name is Jay. I'm a vet, and I run a small animal hospital on the outskirts of the city. Because I'm good at my job and have a mild-mannered look, a fair number of people have expressed interest in me. But I have a secret. I'm intersex. No one who has seen this ugly body of mine could ever love me. Fortunately, after all these years, I've learned to accept my needs and make peace with my body. Until the day two special guests showed up at my clinic. Dr. Nielsen, you've got a great reputation. Could you take a look for us? What kind of animal is it? You guys look so serious. I was a little surprised. The men were from Fish and Wildlife. You'll know when you see it. One of them carefully carried a crate in from the truck. I was stunned. It was a pitch-black snake, its body covered in faint, intricate patterns. It was about 3 feet long, coiled up with its head resting on its tail, its tongue flicking out occasionally. The back half of its body was covered in severe burns, looking bloody and terrifying. What species of snake is this? I considered myself pretty knowledgeable in my field, but I honestly couldn't identify this one. It's a newly discovered rare species. We've been treating it for days with no luck. We've already reported it up the chain, but it'll take time for the expert to get here. We were hoping you could help in the meantime. All right, I'll take a look, I said. What's its temperament like? Is it venomous? It's venomous, and it has a nasty temper. Before the ranger could finish his sentence, the snake, which had been motionless, suddenly sprang up and lunged at me. Look out! I gasped and instinctively jumped back, but it was too late. The snake wrapped itself around my wrist, slithered up my arm, and settled on my shoulder, its head raised and its tongue flicking. Its golden eyes stared right at me. In that moment, I was already picking out my own tombstone. But after studying me for a few seconds, the snake just flicked the tip of its tail, rested its head on my shoulder, and went still. I, however, was too scared to move. Dr. Nielsen, don't make any sudden moves. Like I have a choice. You think I dare move? I was completely rigid, the words squeezed through my clenched teeth. After a few nerve-wracking minutes, the men cautiously approached and managed to transfer the snake into a special terrarium, leaving it at my clinic. After some basic treatment, the wounds at least looked less horrifying. Let's just keep it under observation for now, I said. We'll wait for the expert to arrive. My clinic doesn't board animals overnight. My private apartment is on the 2nd floor. I like absolute quiet, so the snake became my only animal companion. Before going to bed, I checked on it again. Aside from its sudden attack that afternoon, the snake had been almost unnervingly quiet, showing none of the nasty temper the rangers had mentioned. I went to sleep relieved. That night, I had a very explicit dream. In the dream, I was completely naked, wrapped so tightly in the coils of a giant black snake that I couldn't move. The snake glided over every inch of my body, as if inspecting its territory. Its golden, slitted pupils stared at me, like deep whirlpools drawing me in. Unsurprisingly, my underwear was a lost cause the next morning. I sat up, rubbing my forehead, and stared at a certain part of my body for a long moment before sighing. Perhaps because of my unique body, my needs in certain areas were a bit high. I knew my situation, but I never thought my fantasies would escalate from people to animals. I picked up my phone and ordered the latest toy from my go-to-online store. A guy's gotta learn how to please himself, right? Downstairs, the snake was still lying peacefully in its terrarium. Huh? Is it just me? I frowned, studying the snake for a long time. Do its wounds look a lot better than yesterday? That kind of recovery speed isn't normal. Dr. Nielsen. The wind chime on the door jingled. It was a regular customer of mine, the owner of a hyperactive husky. Thanks to certain well-known husky traits, her dog was a frequent patient for everything from indigestion from overeating to swallowing things it shouldn't have. What is it this time? I asked a bit tiredly. Awoo. The husky, a dog that 10 leashes couldn't hold back, was now cowering behind its owner with its tail between its legs. We went camping last night, and he fell down a flight of stairs. Can you give him an X-ray to see if anything's broken? Sure, come this way. I led the customer into the exam room. Ah! The woman suddenly screamed as we passed the terrarium. I turned and saw the snake had risen, its cold, golden pupils fixed on her. Sorry about that. It startled you, I said, quickly covering the terrarium with a cloth. Someone actually keeps a snake. What kind is it? It looks so scary. A friend is just boarding it here temporarily. It's not a pet. Well, be careful. That thing looks seriously venomous, she said with concern. Thanks for the warning, I replied with a small smile. The woman blushed, embarrassed. During the X-ray, she kept trying to make small talk with me. She was a really nice person, perfect in almost every way. I thought to myself, if it weren't for my body, I probably would have asked her out. The bones look fine, I said, sitting in front of the computer and pointing to the screen. But there's some minor bone density loss. The dog's getting older. My voice caught in my throat, and goosebumps erupted all over my skin. The woman, who had been leaning in close with a blush on her cheeks, turned to me in confusion when I stopped talking. Ah! The black snake had somehow gotten out of its tank, slithered all the way over, and crawled up under my shirt. Its head was now poking out of my open collar, staring warily at the woman. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. My own heart was pounding, but my professional instincts kicked in, and I immediately tried to calm her down. I didn't dare move an inch, terrified the snake would get irritated and take a bite out of me. The woman was frozen in shock. I don't know if I imagined it, but the snake flicked its tongue, tapped my cheek, and let out a sound like a huff. Its cool body slid across my skin, circled my neck, then slipped off the chair and headed back toward its terrarium. I think until Fish and Wildlife comes to get this thing, my clinic is closed for business. After calming down the terrified customer, not only did I not make a cent today, but I also had to pay her for emotional distress. This snake had to go. I meticulously inspected the terrarium but couldn't for the life of me figure out how it had escaped. Unsettled, I placed the terrarium inside an even larger one. Let's see you get out of this Russian nesting doll setup. Didn't you guys report this? When the hell is the expert getting here? I called my contact at Fish and Wildlife. They said tomorrow at the earliest. The expert was on a business trip abroad. What's wrong? Can't handle it? It scared my customer, I said. Look, its wounds don't seem as bad as we thought. Can't you just come and get it? I'm out in the field right now. We got a report that a wild tiger wandered into a village to steal sheep. We're checking it out. After a few seconds of silence, I caved. One more day, max. If the expert isn't here by tomorrow, I'm letting it go. I'm not responsible for it. Fine. I'll treat you to dinner when I get back. After hanging up, I turned and stared at the terrarium. Through the transparent plastic, I could clearly see the snake. It was coiled comfortably, lazily flicking its tongue. Maybe it was just me, but I felt like it was watching my every move. The eyes of a cold-blooded animal hold no emotion. I felt like prey. Whatever. The most important thing was to get back to business. I carried the terrarium upstairs and put it in my bedroom. At least it wouldn't scare any more customers. The wind chime downstairs tinkled again. A new customer. I hurried downstairs, not noticing the lid of the terrarium opening on its own. The snake swayed its body, slithered out, and surveyed the bedroom with an air of absolute ownership. The room was filled with my scent. Sweet and rich. It liked it very much. That night I had the dream again. It was the same black snake, wrapping me up so tightly I couldn't breathe. Its golden eyes stared at me without blinking, its tail sliding over every inch of my body. It was as if it saw me as a female snake and was trying to court me. I shot awake. The bedroom was pitch black, filled only with the sound of my own ragged breaths. My skin was covered in goosebumps. The feeling of a cold-blooded animal crawling all over me lingered. I swallowed hard to soothe my dry throat, a wave of emptiness washing over me. Damn it! I cursed under my breath and yanked open my nightstand drawer. I had a decent collection of toys. A guy has to be willing to explore his limits, you know? But perhaps because of my body, my development wasn't exactly complete. I couldn't measure up to a normal man, nor a normal woman. So, I usually tried not to overdo it. But tonight was clearly not one of those nights. After having that dream 2 nights in a row, I was starting to wonder if being pent up for so long had finally driven me crazy. There was no one else here anyway. I didn't have to worry about anyone discovering my ugly, pathetic secret. I lost myself in my own world, indulging myself without restraint. But I forgot that while I was the only person in the bedroom, there was still a snake. In the quiet bedroom, the sound of a snake slithering was completely masked by a faint buzzing. I didn't notice that the snake had silently crawled onto my bed and was now coiled right in the middle of it. If I had opened my eyes, I would have been staring directly into those golden pupils. I was completely absorbed, and the intense stimulation quickly brought on a wave of exhaustion. I fell asleep before I could even clean up in the bathroom. So, naturally, I didn't see the forked tongue flicker in the air, tasting a strange new scent. The golden pupils widened for a second before narrowing back into slits. It used the ample lubrication to give itself a spa day. The next day, I noticed my complexion looked much better than before. Was it really just because I'd been so pent up? I held my chin and examined myself in the mirror, wondering if I should close up early and hit a bar to unwind. As long as the lights were off the whole time, my secret should be safe, right? After getting ready, I went to check on the snake, and I was shocked to find it gleaming, its scales slick and shiny, without a single trace of its previous injuries. What the hell? This was just too weird. I'd been a materialist my whole life. When that snake was brought in 2 days ago, its wounds were so deep you could see bone. How could it have healed so fast? Plus, it was an unknown species. There was no telling what was going on. I needed to get this hot potato off my hands as soon as possible. Thankfully, the guys from Fish and Wildlife weren't lying. A little after 10 in the morning, 2 cars pulled up in front of my clinic. The man leading the group was a top snake expert in the country. I briefly explained the situation from the last 2 days, and the snake was finally escorted away by the team. I let out a huge sigh of relief. I thought things would finally go back to normal, but I soon realized something was very wrong. As a vet, I'm usually great with all kinds of animals, and they tend to like me. But today, every pet that came through my door, whether it was a cat, a dog, or even a rabbit or a hedgehog, started struggling frantically the second they stepped inside. The cats and dogs, especially, were howling more pitifully than the day they got neutered. Business was impossible. I wondered if it had something to do with the snake. Snakes don't usually mark territory, but this was an unknown species. Maybe it had habits other snakes didn't? I decided to close up early, put on a hat and mask, and took a cab to a well-known gay bar across town. But I had barely stepped inside, before I could even start looking for tonight's prey, when someone cornered me. Well, if it isn't Jay Nielsen. Long time no see. The guy's voice was slick, his smile malicious. Heard you were getting surgery? Did you go through with it? If I had to pinpoint the biggest setback in my 20-something years of being intersex, it would probably be in high school, when the guy I had a crush on outed me and humiliated me in front of everyone. The whole thing blew up, and it ended with me transferring schools. But whatever. You live and you learn. Who hasn't loved a few scumbags in their life? So, upon reuniting with this particular scumbag, I didn't hesitate. I threw a punch. He let out a cry and stumbled back, clutching his mouth. As a qualified vet who regularly handles large dogs, I'm stronger than a lot of men. What's the matter? Didn't your mother teach you not to spew shit from your mouth? I shot him a cold look. You motherf, he tried to fight back. You don't need to know what gender I am. But I know what you are. I kicked him again. Besides a eunuch, I can't think of any other gender that talks with such a passive-aggressive whine. After being punched and kicked, the scumbag could only curl up on the floor and beg for mercy. The mood was ruined. I turned and walked out of the bar. Forget it. If you want something done right, you do it yourself. I hailed a cab and scrolled through my social feed on the way home. I saw that my buddy from Fish and Wildlife had just posted a picture of the black snake, asking anyone who saw it to give them a call. Huh? Didn't they just pick it up today? Confused, I called him. He immediately started complaining. Don't even ask. The second we got it back to the office today, it went ballistic. We tried everything, but we couldn't get it to calm down. We had to postpone the research. Then, when we went to check on it tonight, it was gone. Seriously, the container was sealed tight, the doors and windows were all locked, and we have no idea how it got out. Everyone here is freaking out. I thought to myself, thank God it disappeared after it got back to their lab. If it had vanished from my clinic, I would have been in deep trouble. I couldn't help but feel relieved again. Good thing I got rid of that hot potato when I did. It was late by the time I got back to the clinic. I saw that the package I ordered yesterday had arrived. Perfect, I thought, I'll try out the new toy tonight. But when I stepped into my bedroom and flipped on the light, I saw a dark, coiled object lying on my comforter, standing out conspicuously. I fell silent. The snake hadn't disappeared from my clinic, but the disappeared snake had appeared in my clinic. If anyone investigated, how could I possibly prove my innocence? And the snake seemed to have been woken by the noise. It raised its body and stared at me with its slitted pupils. I felt like I was locked in its sights. I guess I wouldn't be taking matters into my own hands tonight. The black snake flicked its tongue and began slithering toward me. I wanted to turn and run, but I knew I couldn't outpace a snake. More importantly, my legs had turned to jelly. I couldn't move, so I could only watch as it reached my leg and disappeared up the wide cuff of my lounge pants. The second its cool body touched my skin, I couldn't stop the goosebumps from breaking out. This should have been a terrifying, life or death moment, but my mind inappropriately flashed back to the dreams from the past 2 nights. The sensation in the dream was just like this. The snake continued to move upward, even circling my thigh a few times, treating my body like a fascinating maze to explore. My feelings went from fear to nervousness to utter speechlessness. Finally, a bizarre thought popped into my head. Am I being harassed? Was this really just a snake? Could it be some kind of ancient snake demon? I thought this kind of thing wasn't supposed to happen anymore. Eventually, the snake emerged from my collar, nuzzled my cheek, and then draped the front half of its body over my head, going still. If I had a mirror, I would have seen that it had already closed its eyes for a nap. What? Did the long trip from the Fish and Wildlife office wear it out? I stood there for at least 10 minutes, finally realizing the snake probably wasn't going to bite my head off. I tentatively shrugged my shoulders. No reaction. I slowly turned my neck. No reaction. I carefully took 2 steps. No reaction. Was this snake using me as a tree branch? I had a snake pole in the clinic since I'd had cases of sick pet snakes before. I warily went to get it, my heart pounding the whole way. But when I finally clamped the pole around the snake, it didn't struggle at all. To be honest, as weird as the snake was, I hadn't seen a single bit of the temper my buddy from Fish and Wildlife had described. All right, back in you go. I put the black snake back in its terrarium and quickly took a shower. After I washed up, I was completely calm. I started to wonder if I should call Fish and Wildlife right now. No, it was too late. I'd wait until morning. I opened my package and looked at the new toy. I'd ordered it in a moment of passion, but now that I was clear-headed, I was a little intimidated. I'd never tried front and back at the same time. Wasn't this a bit much? I couldn't get over the mental hurdle. I washed and sterilized it, then tossed it in the drawer and took out a more familiar one instead. Just as I was closing my eyes to enjoy myself, I heard a faint rustling sound. I opened my eyes in confusion and was met with a pair of golden pupils. The snake had somehow staged another jailbreak. It was on my bed, positioned right between my legs, staring at me. Even for someone as shameless as me, it's hard to describe a scene like this. Sure, it was just a snake. In theory, it shouldn't know what I was doing, but I have my pride. My toes curled in embarrassment as I tried to calmly bring my legs together. The toy was still diligently doing its job. I just wanted to go back in time 10 minutes and slap myself. Why couldn't I just hold out? But the second my legs started to close, the black snake flicked its tongue and lowered its head. Its cool head moved back and forth at the top of my thighs, its tongue darting in the air, and even its tail began to quiver. Holy shit! The curse had barely left my lips when I smelled a strange, intoxicating fragrance. The next second, all the strength drained from my body, and I collapsed bonelessly onto the bed. I didn't get a wink of sleep that entire night. It was intense, chaotic, my vision blurred. It wasn't until dawn began to break that it ended. The scent that had driven me out of my mind last night finally dissipated, leaving behind the sore protest of overused muscles. Turns out, pleasure really does have a price. When my phone rang, I sucked in a sharp breath and struggled to sit up, trying my best to ignore the snake's presence as I answered. Hello? Dr. Nielsen? Speaking. You have a cold? Why is your voice so hoarse? I figured after sounding like an opera singer all night, it was a miracle I could speak at all. What's up? I asked weakly. It's about the snake. We've searched everywhere but can't find a trace of it. We don't know if it went back to the mountains or what. Didn't. It's lying on top of me right now. As I listened, I squinted and felt it. The black snake was awake, flicking its tongue and lazily gliding across my body before settling its head on my chest. Could hear my heartbeat there, full of life. The man from Fish and Wildlife continued, since you took care of it for a couple of days, our director wanted to talk to you about its habits, how its wounds recovered, that sort of thing. Didn't you guys have it longer? Why are you asking me? Please, that snake's temper was so awful it wouldn't let us get near it. It would rather let its wounds fester than accept treatment. You can't say we were taking care of it. It was with you for 2 days and the wounds were practically healed. It's mind-blowing, you know? I thought for a moment and said, I'm not feeling well. How about I come by your office this afternoon? Great. It's a date. After hanging up, I lay still in bed. The bedroom was silent. The black snake wasn't making a sound. Let's talk, I said. What the hell are you? The snake opened its eyes and gave me an annoyed look. You're definitely not a normal snake. Are you a snake demon? I asked. Are you from before they made being a monster illegal? Are monsters even real? The black snake ignored me. Hey, give me some kind of reaction. Maybe because of last night, the last shred of my fear had vanished. I picked up its soft, boneless body and gave it a little shake. Don't pretend you don't understand. I know you can understand me. My name is Jay. What's yours? Corbin. I froze. My name is Corbin. The voice was completely unfamiliar. A man's voice, slightly deep, rich, with a strange rhythm and magnetism. After that, no matter what I asked, Corbin refused to speak again. I didn't mind. Since this snake was sentient, I could treat it as an independent being. Fish and Wildlife couldn't find it, so they'd probably just file a report and close the case. I was just a normal guy. It was better not to get mixed up in any weird, mysterious business. If the snake wanted to deal with them, it would go back on its own. I didn't need to report its whereabouts. It's just, was this snake a little too clingy? I took a shower, and it wrapped itself around me. I ate a meal, and it wrapped itself around me. Even when I was changing to go out, it was still wrapped around me. Hey, I'm going to the Fish and Wildlife office, I said, unable to take it anymore. Are you sure you want us to show up like this? The snake might not have any shame, but I did. Corbin just flicked the tip of his tail, closed his eyes contentedly on my shoulder, and didn't budge. Resigned, I changed into a loose hoodie. The extra space, combined with the snake coiled around my waist, made it not too obvious. If you insist on coming, fine, but you have to keep your head hidden, I warned him. If anyone sees you, I'm going straight to jail. Carrying a snake around, especially one that wasn't in a cage, would obviously cause a massive panic. Unfortunately, those days didn't last long. One morning, I woke up to find the black snake gone. The room was empty, without a trace of its scent. So clean it was as if it had never been there at all. My life went on as usual with no changes. Well, if I had to name one, after experiencing such unparalleled stimulation, my body's threshold had been raised. Trying to take matters into my own hands just felt like something was missing. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, breathing heavily. After a few seconds, I covered my eyes with my arm and let out a self-deprecating laugh. Jay, you're losing your mind. You spent a few days with a snake. You don't know where it came from, what it is, or even if its name is real. I guess I was just that lonely. So when I met someone or something that didn't care about my body, I fell for it, even if it was a snake. I washed my things, sterilized them, and tossed them back in the drawer. I stood in front of the full-length mirror, my face impassive as I buttoned up my shirt. Pushing my long bangs to the side, I gave the mirror a faint smile. I was back to being that gentle, harmless guy again. A new day had begun. Welcome. The wind chime on the door jingled, and I looked up with a smile. The man who entered was tall and powerfully built, at least 6'3". He wore a short-sleeved shirt that revealed muscular, sculpted arms. "Can I help you, sir?" My instincts told me this guy was trouble, but a customer was a customer, so I kept the smile on my face. "TSK. Smells like snake in here." The man wrinkled his nose and gave me a disdainful once-over. "Hey, can we talk?" "Talk about what?" I was instantly on guard. "Sir, this is a vet clinic. I don't do idle chit-chat." "All right, drop the act. The snake stench on you is so strong it's practically radioactive. You've been getting tangled up with that shameless bastard quite a bit." "Huh?" The man's gaze was like an X-ray, seeing right through me. Didn't see it coming. "For a little guy, you've got a lot of stamina." I took a deep breath and got up to leave. "Don't you want to know where that snake came from?" I froze. I did want to know. Even if we never crossed paths again, at least I'd have the truth. Who was the snake that had shared so many intimate nights with me? "Let me introduce myself. My name is Rex." I frowned. "Sir, please don't use profanity." "Who's using profanity?" "My name is Rex, as in Tyrannosaurus Rex, king of the goddamn dinosaurs." Rex flipped the sign on my door to closed and sat down across from me. "And his name is Slither." A slender snake poked its head out of Rex's collar, flicking its tongue to greet me. "Hey there." It looked nothing like Corbin. It was pure white and much thinner. That's how Rex could hide it so well under a t-shirt. My eyes widened slightly. I looked at Slither in disbelief. There were other snakes who could talk like Corbin. From this man and his snake, I finally learned Corbin's story. Slither and Corbin were the same species. They were born sentient, not like ordinary animals. The normal life cycle for their kind was to cultivate their power, find a mate, and eventually take human form. They go through a long molting period where they're extremely vulnerable and require nutrients from their partner. Yes, that kind of fluid. For them, it was the best source of nutrition. But Corbin was different. From birth, he'd been disdainful of his species' lifestyle. He achieved human form without ever finding a partner, relying entirely on his own power. I suddenly remembered when I first met Corbin. One day his wounds were down to the bone, and the next they were nearly gone. I thought it was because he was exceptionally gifted, but it turned out it was because of what he did to me at night. Rex said, "I'm telling you, that guy Corbin has no heart. He could already take human form, but he never showed you because he didn't want you tracking him down and clinging to him later." I would not cling to him. I clenched my fists. "I'm just giving you a friendly warning." Rex pointed to Slither on his shoulder. "In their species, the loyal ones are extremely loyal, and the players are extreme players. My Slither here is the super loyal type. Corbin, though, he's not really a player. He just uses people and throws them away. I'm only telling you this because I feel sorry for you. Don't waste your time thinking about him. He's probably already forgotten you." I remained silent. "Dude, check it out," Rex said, suddenly changing the subject. "You ever consider a blind date?" "Me, huh?" My dumbfounded expression made Rex roar with laughter. "I'm serious. You reek of snake. You and Corbin must have done it, what, 80, 100 times? I know exactly how powerful their species is. If you can satisfy Corbin's needs, regular humans are probably not going to cut it for you anymore. I know a few single snakes. You should think about it," Rex said. "They're just as good as Corbin." My face was a blank mask. "Thanks, but I'd rather find a human." "Come on, why lie? We're all on the same team here. You've done it with Corbin how many times? And now you're saying you want a human?" Rex said, "Besides, they can all turn into people, so how are they not human? You've never done it with Corbin in his human form, have you? Try it with another snake. It's amazing." I firmly rejected Rex's offer. He seemed a little disappointed as he left, but he gave me his contact info, saying I could call him anytime if I changed my mind. No matchmaker fee. Thanks for your kindness. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. I slammed the door shut, my face expressionless. Rex let out a TSK. Slither, coiled around Rex's waist, said in a muffled voice, "Why did you lie to him?" Every cell in Jay's body was saturated with Corbin's scent. It was Corbin's mark, a declaration that Jay belonged to him. Especially on the second floor of the clinic, the snake scent was so strong you could smell it from a mile away. Corbin must have left his shed skin there, too. For their species, leaving your shed skin for someone was practically a marriage proposal. Because he bullied you back in the day, Rex said, holding a grudge. And he said I wasn't good enough for you. Corbin just has a bad temper. Don't hold it against him. I only like you, Slither quickly reassured him. Rex had no idea why Corbin had suddenly disappeared, but he was very pleased with himself for successfully smearing Corbin's name. After seeing the man and his snake off, the faint smile on my face vanished completely. I sat at the examination table, arms crossed, tapping my fingers on my bicep. When the phone rang, I had no idea how long I'd been spacing out. "What is it?" I asked, my voice flat. "We found a doctor for you. We've checked him out. He's performed several successful surgeries on intersex people. You should really consider having the surgery. Looking like this, neither a man nor a woman, what kind of way is that to live?" This wasn't the first time my parents had brought up surgery. Years ago, medical technology wasn't as advanced, and the risks were high. Faced with a choice between their son's life and his gender, they chose the former. But in the last couple of years, as medicine had progressed, their old ideas had resurfaced. They had brought it up at least 3 times. But I had no interest, so every conversation ended unpleasantly. "If you like men, then make yourself a woman," my father said. "If you like women, make yourself a man." "Dad, I can't have children. It doesn't matter to me whether I'm a man or a woman. Neither of my sets of organs was fully developed. I wasn't enough of a man, and I wasn't enough of a woman. I had given up on that long ago and was prepared to be single for the rest of my life. But the image of the snake flashed through my mind, and I let out a bitter laugh. After hanging up, I tried to clear my head and not overthink things. After lunch, the sky suddenly filled with dark clouds, and a strong wind picked up. The temperature plummeted. I was only wearing a thin shirt under my lab coat and was starting to feel the chill. I went upstairs to find something warmer. When I opened my closet, I saw that the drawer where I keep my underwear was filled with several layers of shed snakeskin. I didn't need to guess whose they were. "Leaving your shed skin in my underwear drawer? What is wrong with you?" I remembered what Rex had said and really wanted to just throw them all in the trash. But my hand hesitated. I chose to ignore them instead. Whatever. For the pleasure he gave me, I'll keep them as a souvenir. I probably wouldn't ever find a bed partner that satisfying again. I changed into a sweatshirt and went downstairs. I had just sat down at the front desk when the wind chime rang. Well, the cum got stuck in my throat. The man who walked in had a devastatingly handsome face. His beautiful, almond-shaped eyes tilted up slightly at the corners, giving him a captivating allure. His hair was thick and dark, but his eyes were a pale, almost golden color. He wore a black silk shirt that, combined with his tall frame and long, straight legs, made him look like a runway model. He didn't need to introduce himself. I already knew who he was. Suddenly, I found it hard to believe anything Rex had said. He didn't want me clinging to him if I saw his human form. I thought to myself I'd have to be blind not to recognize that this person was Corbin. "What are you doing back here?" I put on a cold expression, crossing my arms. It was a defensive posture. Corbin stood at the door and stared at me for a long time, so long that I could barely maintain my expression. Finally, he spoke. "Why are you angry? You have the nerve to ask me why I'm angry?" My eyes widened. "You left without a word, and I'm not allowed to be angry? What are you talking about?" Corbin frowned. "I told you I was leaving for a while. When did you say that?" "That night. I told you I had to leave for a bit, and you said as long as I satisfied you right then, you wouldn't care how long I was gone. Did I say that? How can you take something said at a time like that seriously? Couldn't you have picked a moment when I was in my right mind to tell me something so important?" So you're planning to use me and throw me away? Corbin narrowed his eyes, his tone dangerous. Are you questioning me? I asked, incredulous. Corbin was about to say more, but his nose twitched, and he started sniffing the air. There's another snake's scent in here, he frowned. You have another snake? What? Who is he? Where did he come from? How far have you two gone? Did you cheat on me? Corbin strode toward me, grabbed my arm, and started sniffing me all over, as if determined to inspect every single cell. Get away from me. I thought, we haven't even cleared things up, what's with all the manhandling? So you really did fall for someone else? Corbin hissed in anger. I was gone for such a short time and you're already moving on. Humans are all worthless. If you're going to accuse me, you'd better have some evidence. You can't just make things up. You have another snake's scent all over you. What more evidence do you need? Corbin dragged me upstairs, looking like a man about to catch his spouse in the act. Thankfully, there was no other snake scent on the second floor. Corbin seemed a little more satisfied. Talk. Corbin kicked the door shut, locked it, and pinned me against it. Talk about what? How long have you known each other? How far did you go? Corbin sniffed me again and seemed slightly relieved that the scent wasn't too strong. It's okay. Just tell me the truth. I won't be angry. Do I look like an idiot? You think I'd believe that? Why did you leave? I asked. You answer me first, Corbin insisted. There is no other snake. Do you know someone named Rex? As in T-Rex? He and his snake were here earlier today. Oh, is that so? Corbin relaxed instantly. Now, can you tell me why you left? Well, I absorbed too much nutrition. If I didn't leave, I would have reverted to my beast form, and you would have died. Corbin rubbed his nose, a little embarrassed. He said that since he'd never had a partner before and had always cultivated his power alone, he had no idea that bodily fluids were so nourishing. If he had indulged himself with me any longer, he would have transformed into his full python form. I was, after all, a human. There was an insurmountable size difference between us. So Corbin had to leave urgently and return to his clan to have the elder help him convert the excess nutrients. Once he had stabilized his human form, he came back to find me. Even if you had to leave, you could have at least contacted me, I said. You just disappeared. I didn't know where you went or when you were coming back. At this, I let out another self-deprecating laugh. Then again, we're nothing to each other. What right do I have to question your movements? Hearing this, Corbin frowned and glared at me. You had your way with me, and now you dare say we're nothing? He grabbed my arm and pulled me in front of the closet, yanking open the drawer full of shed skin. I left all my shed skins for you. I was going to ask you, why did you leave your shed skin in my drawer? It's our people's betrothal gift. I was stunned, completely shocked. Seriously, who uses their own shed skin to propose? But Corbin didn't care about that. In his mind, I was already his wife. As long as I hadn't found another snake behind his back, everything was fine. I was gone for so long. Did you miss me? No, I denied flatly. Corbin's eyes widened. Why didn't you miss me? I missed you so much. You wish, I thought. This bad habit of leaving without a word needs to be dealt with. But it was clear Corbin had no intention of giving me the chance. Because Corbin missed me. And little Corbin missed little Jay. Hey, what are you doing? It's the middle of the day. I have to open the clinic, MMPH. The clinic door swung shut on its own, and the closed sign flipped into place. Pressed beneath Corbin, I finally experienced, for the first time in my life, what it was like to make love with a human. Oh wait, not exactly human. After all, what human has two of them? I imagine my life from now on is going to be very happy.